Happy business matter.
Easy, yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
People business that you can't have your business pan. Alright.
Yeah, that
You
change
know
the
what I
subject.
see the man.
I
Start
think
the
that's
start up that. I'm gonna just kick it off right away. Like a ball.
Mm.
you
Like a
know,
What you
ball.
starting? What were you doing?
you
Mm.
Hold
love
on,
chat.
hold on.
Afcon the Afchan aftermath
Mm.
Oh,
are Moroccans real no Moroccans are not Africans real Africans. So that be discussion. So I
Mm.
discuss North Africa versus I guess Africa or West Africa.
Africa. North
Yeah,
Africa versus Africa.
Mm. Mm. Can you imagine?
Africa
North
proper
Africa.
or Africa
Me just
proper.
put are Moroccan no are not Africans real Africans that nigga put Afghan aftermath.
Yes, sir. So, well, look to the analytical vibes I was happening recently with the conclusion of the Afcon tournament, which rating the tournament out of 10, yeah, Okavango, ratings.
Uh
Just a
if I
number.
if I'm to be honest, 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10? All right,
Nine
we're
out
going
of
to leave it
ten.
at 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yaga, out of 10, ratings to the Afghan tournament.
I can't give it a ratings because I never keep up with the tournament.
Uh,
I
Fully.
just from the semi-final, I start really
but
taking
your
what I
view
go
of
on
what you
and
Yeah, yeah,
can
see
but you
see
can give
after.
currently.
based on what you see.
What your ratings of it?
I see some good ball, man. Some would I say about 7 or 8 out of 10.
7 or 8 out of 10. What about the eye being? Did I check it out?
No, I only get a little glimpse of it, so I really can't comment, but it looks very exciting.
Yeah.
That's all I can
I
say.
give it a 9 out of 10
Yeah,
too because of the energy of the
yeah.
stadiums and the quality of the stadiums and the quality of play. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 as well. So yeah,
Mm.
great thing. All right, now what we think could have been improved in the Afghan tournament. Start with Okavango again.
Could have
What could have made
the
it better?
problem could we talk with the positive first?
Okay.
Yeah. And the positive. So first thing, one big up Morocco. I can't remember watching an Afghan with like this where the fees were so impeccable. The organization was impeccable. Like and everyone when the players them everybody talk about like you like getting from one place to another, it was seamless. Like everything just was run
Mm.
smooth. It was like
And
It was
the
properly
final,
organized.
it was probably organized, but from one office they say it was like you had the World Cup. The World Cup is the standard.
Right.
And them have them thing like a World Cup standard. So big up
Morocco
Morocco
for that.
on that,
Man.
well run tournament, everything was impeccable. So this is the for me, this was the best one ever. Best run
Right.
wise. Even football wise, because of the pitch was so good,
You see a better quality of play.
better quality football, and the players get to express themselves more.
Right.
You know what I
Mm.
Right.
mean? I don't take it all like somebody else take beside.
Mm. Yeah, well, I agree with that. I think one of the things I think could have improved the tournament was the officiating. I think that the officiating was a little off for me,
Mm.
you know. And you see it boil over even in the finals, which is one of the primary things what I really want to talk about today. Um, I think that the level where the game is today, where you have so much technology involved in it and the rules are a lot clearer today because you have clearer guidelines towards the rules and stuff. I think we should be seeing a greater standard in terms of the officiating and stuff. So that was the only thing I would have said. Would have want to see a little improvement tonight. Still, I see it.
Mm.
But in
yes,
the
sir.
finals now, we saw where there was a big blow up in the game, which was I think probably one of the most highlighted negatives out of the tournament overall. Probably I think it became the highlight of the tournament, where we saw Senegal and Morocco in the finals. Senegal received a they put the ball in the net, but the goal was disallowed as a result of a foul play. So the goal was disallowed. Then in the probably dying seconds of the game, we see Morocco receiving a penalty.
Mm.
Um, to great contest from the Senegal players and team and bench.
Mm.
So it ended up that the Senegal team practically left the field, practically walked off the field and said, you know. But I think out of even that adverse situation, we see the character of Sadio Mane rise and come to the forefront as a real professional and a real leader of the team. Where we see he was probably the only player that stayed on the field for
Mm.
Senegalese player who stayed on the field, and he was instrumental in getting the other players to return to the field of play. You know, so I want to say, I have a big up Sadio Mane for that. Um, the Moroccans, they did not successfully complete the penalty. The penalty was saved, so that was
Mm.
a little weight off the
Mhm.
shoulders,
Mhm.
and the
No,
Senegal
the
team
penalty
went
was
on.
Big up
completed.
to the
It
goalie,
was
man. The
completed, but it
goalie.
was a successful penalty. They didn't score on it.
Right.
You
Right.
understand?
But just
So,
before that,
hmm
there was a penalty the other end
right, and they didn't allow it.
that was denied
Right
of Senegal, and they were still incensed
about
by
that.
Mm.
that penalty, which
Right
many think
is the
it
reason
was
why
a
this happened
clearer
now.
penalty than
And a
this
penalty
one happening.
was a goal.
It was a goal that was disallowed because of a foul
A
play.
goal, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
mm,
They
yeah,
actually scored a goal, and
and it was disallowed because of a foul play.
yeah, the referee. So we go back to the thing of referee.
Mm-hmm.
Refereeing, officiating
Mm-hmm.
has been the problem with the Afcon like forever.
For a long time.
And again, it raises ugly head again, officiating,
Mm-hmm.
where and Africa, the worst thing about it, Africa have this thing of corruption over its head. And then so once the refereeing is bad, they
Mm-hmm.
start
Yeah.
blaming it on corruption, says
Corruption.
Right.
someone
Right.
It's
is,
corrupt. Somebody
is
pay a money
plotting.
run. There's a money
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, so even though it's a incompetent referee,
Right.
it don't really go on referee incompetence. It go on,
Systematic
it's
corruption.
rigged. You know what I mean? So I
You
think
can't rule that out, though.
No,
you cannot.
Cultural
But the
norms.
thing is, you cannot rule it out,
but you
But
can't excuse
because
the
of
incompetence
Africa,
as well.
or people are looking at
So
Africa,
look
this is the
away.
first thing that come to
Right.
mind. You know what I mean? So once the Senegalese, as that I was explaining, right, when a goal was scored, to me the goal was a legitimate goal, but the
Mm-hmm.
referee even blew his whistle before the ball went in the net
Mm-hmm.
because he thought he
Mm.
saw a foul.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm. All right.
common practice is if you thought you see a foul, you have to
You
wait
wait until
until
the
it
play is
played
finished.
it play out.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Then you you
you
you
blow the
review.
whistle, and
Right.
then the VAR
Review.
could
Review.
come into place and
Right.
say if it was right. He
Mm-hmm.
blew his whistle initially, so VAR cannot look after this whistle
Mm-hmm.
because once he blew his whistle, the game is stopped and
Right.
the goal was after. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it was poor officiating on the
Right.
referee part. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so at the other hand, a penalty was given.
Awarded.
He
Yeah.
didn't give the penalty because he didn't see the penalty. He didn't see the
The infraction.
infraction, right? VAR look at it and thought it was a penalty. I also thought it could have been a penalty. You know what I mean? It was a bit soft. I thought it could have been a penalty. But remember, we are dealing with human beings.
If
They
it's
just
soft, it
got a
must be a
goal and
penalty,
written
man.
a
Disallowed.
caller,
Disallowed.
and now
You want
there
to
is a
award a
goal given against
penalty.
them. So they're looking
Right.
at like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
It smell kind of funny.
Yes, but I have to. But one thing I have to say, I don't agree with Pape Toa, that's his
Mm-hmm.
Senegalese coach.
to call them off the
calling
field,
the players
off
off the field.
level of
I
the field.
don't agree with that.
Because
It's
that is basically what you call it you
Dissent.
no, not dissent. It's like you concede. You concede, that's the term.
yeah,
If you walk off the field, that
So
means
what
you
would you have done
concede.
as a referee in that situation?
Them concede, but the only thing was that you still had Sadio
Players
Mane on
on
the
the
field.
field. Yeah.
So all him have to do now is
Right.
blow the whistle for saying one, start back the game
Yeah.
and bring them on. If them not come on within that time, then him can blow it off.
Mm.
So that's all him
That
have to
would
do.
have brought the game
what,
into even more
what
disrepute.
we're talking about.
You know, he's saying as the referee and them walk off of the field, what should he have done? So may I say him have to indicate to them, say, listen, we're ready to
Um,
resume play
there
and
is
give them
there is a time limit
right.
for players to go get on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had stood it within that time. I think there was 3 minutes away from the referee
Mm.
calling off the game. So
Calling the game,
he
right.
had to. So when you see him on the field waiting, he's
That's
waiting
what it
because
is, right.
it's a time there to be on the
Mhm.
field, and it was 3 minutes
Left.
left.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they had spent 3 more minutes
3
in the
minutes
locker
more,
room,
it would have been
that match would have
conceded.
called off,
And it
and would have given
Morocco would have won.
awarded
Morocco would have won.
Morocco would have won,
Mhm.
right? But I wouldn't
So
want to see that because
No.
it's
We
probably,
don't want that tournament to be decided in that manner.
Right. Yeah.
We don't
no,
want that tournament
but
to be
it's
decided
probably
in
a
that manner.
tactic. They find an opportunity to use a tactic to play with their mentality
Mm.
before the penalty.
Yeah, because
yeah. So we see those.
probably the energy of the game was turning in the favor of Morocco. So that
Mm.
little stoppage right there just break that flow again.
It
So
presents
Yeah.
an opportunity.
yeah.
And maybe it did, maybe it did. But personally, I don't think it was planned. I just think it was frustration boiling over. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Mhm.
And this is
Yeah,
it's not just
it's a quick thinking coach.
it's not just
And
this
full of
match.
tricky balance because remember even the towel
Yeah,
that
right.
the players were using to
Well,
dry them hands and dry their face and sweat and stuff. There
so
were a big tussle and fight over
over the
taking away
towel.
the towels. They had
Yeah.
to have someone guarding the towels.
So the thing is, it was not only just one match. It was a built up from I think maybe from the quarterfinals. Like things was going
Against
in.
the Senegalese.
No, not against the Senegalese, but in the
In the
tournament,
favor of
other
Morocco.
teams was crying foul of Morocco, saying
Mhm.
like every 50-50 call go in favor of Morocco. This was the
The concern.
concern of
Mhm.
the other teams.
Yeah.
Tanzania, I think they played Tanzania in the round of 16, and Tanzania, was claiming a penalty. They didn't get it. I think they played. What they played after? They played Cameroon after, and Cameroon also think they got penalties too and didn't
It
get
wasn't
it.
awarded in their
Yeah,
favor.
and I think they also conceded a penalty, also Cameroon. If I'm not lying, I don't want to lie.
Mm.
But I think that's what happened.
Mm.
And Nigeria also thought they, cars didn't go their way. And even Algeria, who didn't play, because it's a lot of things, and it's politics coming to play too, right? Algeria, who didn't play Morocco, thought they were getting bad calls because of their rivalry with Morocco.
Mm.
Yeah, because of the bracket they're in and
Yeah,
all of that.
because I think in the Morocco, in the Nigeria versus Algeria game, right? It was so look at this, right? Algeria played, because sometimes these things are just in your head, Algeria played Nigeria, and the referee was a Ghanaian referee. Both sides was complaining because Nigeria have a rivalry with Ghana, and there's a Ghana referee, and Algeria is complaining that they're getting bad calls because they had a rivalry with Morocco, the host. So the referee is caught between
A rock and a
a
hard
rock and a
place.
hard place. I think the referee was good though. I think it was a good referee.
You have to ref within the rules of the game. You have a code that you go by.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be partial. When you're on the pitch and you have that whistle in your mouth, you should be officiating to the highest standard. So that is something that CAF probably need to work on
Yeah,
and
man,
raise the
definitely.
standard
The standard
across the country.
referees is with what all in
The
the
African
Afcon
tournament back.
back make it is not on the standard of a Euros and a World Cup. I think that's the only thing. I think Afcon for me right now is the third biggest football tournament in the world.
It is.
Yeah.
And
But you
what
know, say the
about
Europeans and the South Americans are gonna say something different because they think that
right?
the Copa is bigger than it. But I don't think it's even close.
No.
Personally, I don't think it's even close. Right? But there is a narrative, and that I said it a while ago. There's a narrative going around that what happened in the final put a stain. It is a stain for African football, and this is bad for African football. And I'm
Right.
saying we never hear these narratives when England hosted the Euros and they lost and they were mashing up the stadium. We didn't hear that was a stain for European football.
I didn't say that though. I just want to add that I didn't say that it was a stain on
What do you say?
African football. I said
You said something of that sort, but I
I
don't
said
want
it
to.
was the highlight of the tournament. That's what I said.
But anyway, I'm just saying that, you know what I mean, the narrative around is say, oh, this looks so bad for African football and it was stain on African football. So, you know what I mean? We don't, when these things happen in other places, we don't hear that it's bad for that whole region. You know what I mean? When they are fighting in South America, we don't hear that all they do, they talk about those two teams and the actual incident that happened in
the Zidane headbutt.
Zidane headbutt again. We don't hear that, it's a bad look for France or even the World Cup then. You know what I mean? They don't broad brush it like that.
No.
So we don't want them. Listen, this is just a incident that happened. It's an unfortunate incident that we can see.
What happened in Morocco?
Passion.
Yeah, we can see because of passion and because it is so, you know what I mean, everyone want to win it, and the human side kind of take over a bit. As I said, I don't agree with Pape because it at the end of the day, it's football.
Yeah.
So you cannot take football that serious when you're walking off the pitch.
Sportsmanship was out the window.
Like Mane say as well, him say they haven't scored. So
they haven't scored. And Mane say, when Mane call him, Mane say, yo, come, let's finish the game like men. You can't quit because a referee give you a bad call. Come on, every game have a bad call in it.
Yeah, man. Yes,
every game have a bad call in it.
Hey, when you recall the game, you know, like I've seen so many situations where referees make bad calls and so many things happen to referees. So it's almost an inbuilt part of the game. And again, as I talk about the human side of things, we have to remember to say the referees are human too. And all of the calls I'm gonna make is based on his perception of what he sees. He must see it in the real we of it, you know. But you know, we want to see a more accurate form of officiating. I remember one highlight I saw one time of a game. I think it was in Brazil, where the player played a ball. There was a spectator walking behind the goal, and the ball was going away, right? And the spectator came on the field of play and redirect the ball into the goal, and the referee awarded the goal.
What? No.
And those crazy things happen.
That ain't real. That ain't real. That ain't real.
Yo, that man.
No.
There must be a clip.
No.
There must be a clip of that somewhere around.
There is a clip of it.
There must be a clip of that somewhere around.
Brother. The whole team start chase the referee.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
The referee run out of the stadium. So you know, these things. There's a bit of too much to the thing still. You know, the referee ran out of the stadium, but it's just a representation.
We are trying to look at the positive came out of it. There are a lot of criticism that came out of the tournament, so especially leading up to the final, because Team Senegal is protesting that the hotel that they got to stay was a hotel that wasn't up to the standard of the tournament, and the team in the final. And that can be a tactic in the Moroccan
as well. True.
hierarchy to throw them off, to make them uncomfortable, don't
Uncomfortable.
sleep well. And in addition, they had to take the train.
To the
They
game.
had to take the train to the stadium. And that created another set of problems because player need their legs to rest and traveling to the stadium and stuff like that. You need to be comfortable. So as soon as you get to the pitch, you can warm up properly and get ready for the game. So there was a lot of
adversities to overcome. But they did, and they came out victorious. So it's even a greater story for them because with all of these adversities, they still came out victorious. So kudos to the Senegalese team. And I want to just say that congrats to them. And I want to say that Yaga and Okavango, when you collect your parlays, I'd like a cut of it, please.
No, I didn't gamble. Anyway, well, go forward to the final, right?
Yeah.
Morocco hadn't won the tournament. Well, they still haven't. In 50 years, for 50 years, they didn't win the tournament. So we could see the desire
they
to
were
win.
Favorites.
It would have been a lovely story.
Hold on there. So they had a desire. Is at home. Everything like it's their tournament. You know what I mean? It seemed like everything was
in their favor,
right for them to win. You know what I mean? So the whole country was buzzing, but Morocco dropped the ball. They dropped the ball, and usually I said this: the way how Morocco behave, and I think that's why I give it a 9 out of 10. The way how they behave, the whole final, they drop the ball on the final. You don't hack the way how Moroccans will hack. You don't hack like that as a host. That's not
cost.
You see, if it was a match, like a World Cup qualifier, where you go to a team home and there are the shenanigans where they do their trying to get a home advantage. But no, this is not you're hacking a tournament when you're hosting a tournament. There's no home advantage. You are the host of the tournament, right? So your team is just another team in the tournament, and you treat everybody the same when you're hosting a tournament. You don't try to gain advantage in a tournament. And remember, Morocco is down to co-host the 2030 World Cup, and it wasn't a good look on them as a host, because when you are going to give your opponent an inferior hotel to stay in, when you are going to have a team with like the Senegalese team with stars, well-known stars on the team, walking through a crowd of people without security, that's not nice.
But wait, I want to say something. I want to put this in perspective while you say that, right? But you're looking at a level of racism based on Arabs against Africans too, and how
Bingy, hold on a bit.
You're looking at racism.
Hold on a bit, Bingy. Brother Lance is coming. I didn't want to touch. I'm trying to hold out until I'm telling forward to go into that section.
But we had to talk about it because that is what you're describing in any simple term. That's what
we have to the party.
Because that's what you're talking about.
Versus not Africans.
Right.
Yeah.
What more have to say about that, though, Okavango? When we had that similar situation like this in Jamaica with Leon Bailey talking about stuff like this, and the people them beat him bad enough. He said, "No, them for us." You understand? So is that? Well, I mean, I don't know.
Stuff like what?
In terms of him talking about the hotel accommodation for the players,
and
traveling accommodation.
Yeah, but we're talking about Morocco as a host, right? Because
we understand that.
Yeah, but I'm saying the whole tournament, Morocco was impeccable. Like everybody was like in awe of Morocco. The FBI was down there in Morocco, looking at how Morocco was running the tournament, to take pointers for the World Cup,
Okay, got you.
Because the tournament was so well run, no, everything was on point, up until the final, So I'm saying they dropped the ball on the final with the hotel issue, the security of the Senegalese team issue. When the Senegalese team even also went to the training pitch, they gave them a training pitch beside the Morocco team, so the Morocco team could see them train. You know what I mean?
But that goes both ways, though.
What?
Because the Senegalese team can see the Morocco
You see them
train.
train.
The Morocco team train first.
Okay.
And it's hard now, so they can watch the Senegalese team train.
Got you.
You understand? Yeah, so you don't want that.
Have a closed door training.
You want a closed door where you can bring your tactics and things like that.
Wait. You saying they watch them train. So they learning all their moves, all their plays, all their but that is in itself is illegal.
Yeah.
That should disqualify them. How you could watch
the illegal, but
team.
it's not what you would want from a host, and that's not how it should be done.
No, but it should be because
leading up to 2008 World Cup with Jamaica. Jamaica had a situation where Rene Sumois, I think,
98.
sent one of his
98.
spies.
Yeah. It was. It's not illegal, but it's unethical.
Unethical, man.
Yeah. But wait. Where else in world tournaments do we see that happening, though?
You're not gonna see it because it's not
Where
ethical.
Else
you know
in the world do you see that happening?
It's not ethical. You're not gonna see it because it's not ethical.
So based on that, them should have been disqualified.
It will more be like an unwritten rule. Like an unwritten rule.
No, but it had to be a rule. It can't be an unwritten rule. It must be a rule. You know why? That is me training for a fight, and the man I training to fight, he watching me fight.
Yeah, training.
How is that an unwritten rule? That's not unwritten rule. It doesn't happen in sport. Nobody allows that in sport rules on any level. So how is that something that they shouldn't be disqualified for?
And then after that,
that's nonsense.
What were you saying about the 98 World Cup now with Simoes?
So me I said them send one of them spy go watch a training session. And he get caught in a training session and there was a big uproar. Because it was an unethical practice.
Yeah.
You don't spy on the opponent while they are having a close
door. Yeah. You don't do that. You don't do that. Yeah. That's not nice.
But come to think of it, you know, so I was watching a documentary the other day in I think it was, I want to say it was the NFL. But there's a league in the US. I was watching a documentary the other day where this gentleman, right, he got in so much trouble because he had this thing where he was going around and creating stats and because they have codes. That's it. They have codes that they use to signal plays from the sideline to the players on the pitch, right?
Yeah.
He was going to the games and recording the codes and what the codes meant, right? And providing it to his team that he supports. So whenever they play these teams, once they make the codes, they already know what the play is. So they know.
Right.
But that's good though. That's good.
But that is a perfect reason.
No.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You know, the NFL, you cannot do that. You can't read another man play.
Yeah.
That is not allowed under no circumstance.
If you are watching like on TV or live and you see the play like studied. Right. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. You figure it out because it's a part of it.
Only for the people involved, but he was selling it. He was selling the information.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, if my work for team, if I'm working for his team,
them do the information, them sell information. You see?
They selling information.
Man, but getting a big trouble for it, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Getting a big trouble for it, man. So where I say a similar thing like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
By no sport, right? Another team, they watch their opponent train.
No, but what you can do in that sense is to watch the videos. So you
could, right? Yeah, which is allowed.
Yeah. That's what people do. They watch videos of them playing.
Yes.
And try to figure out how to counter them.
Video of a training session. You watch a game.
You watch the tips. You watch the tips. That's how you look on their strategies and come up with a strategy.
That's how you prepare for
because remember, you know, in your final preparation, you have the secret weapon. Right? In your final last preparation for whatever you're doing, whether you're gonna box, you have this thing that you do that them just don't know about.
Right.
And
That's what we would.
for the last thing now, we're in, the whole final where they dropped the ball was the whole towel incident, and this started from the semi-final against Nigeria, where
Stealing the
they're trying to
goalie.
grab they had the ball
The goalie.
boys, were Moroccans grabbing the opponent towel. For what reason? Because I guess they're trying to say voodoo is in the towel. Another stereotype, where they say is voodoo in the towel. I don't know where they get that from. You know what I mean? And that I just like, want to go on, man.
No, because when you say that, I remember a video I see where they show some games in Africa where you see people like sprinkling a little thing and putting a little bottle here and there in a goal, and them say it's a practice. It's a practice. You understand?
Yeah. But
indigenous
Okavango, not inside tracking from that, right? That voodoo thing you're talking about. In Ghana 3 weeks ago, they lock up a voodoo high priest, because he say the world was going to come to an end. You know what they do with him? They throw him in jail. So mind how you practice.
But to be
mind how you practice.
To go in by the rules and standards, there is no FIFA rule that you cannot use voodoo.
No, there is not.
Right,
there's no rule of that. So if the Moroccans thought that the Nigerians and the Senegalese were using voodoo, what they should do is also use voodoo, because voodoo exists in every culture. Every culture has their own voodoo. So so if your voodoo priest is not to the standard of the Senegalese voodoo priest and the Nigerian, they need a better training. Yes, because
send them to Senegal. Send them to
Senegal.
Yeah, they need better training.
Send them in Ghana.
Yeah, but just based on, because I think
you might mute it.
Who's that? Lani? Okay. But
to
be serious now, right?
Reason.
To be serious now, I think it was crazy the way they were acting, grabbing that towel and fighting. Senegal is not to send their substitute goalkeeper to protect the towel, and even when he was protecting the towel, like 5-6 people down on him fighting him for the towel. They even fell on the field fighting. I don't know how the official didn't see this. They fell on the field while the game was playing, fighting for the towel. This was so crazy. I've never seen nothing like this in football in my life.
Never.
Fighting for a towel. And this is a towel is what a goalkeeper is, a part of a goalkeeper equipment. Every goalkeeper have a towel. Every level, a goalkeeper, they keep their hands dry, or they keep if the time is too hot, they keep their hand moist. So this towel can be wet or it can be dry. It's either way, right? But every goalkeeper have a towel. All of a sudden, towel have voodoo in it. You know what I mean? Wow. That's what I think that I don't hear the official statement, but that's what we are thinking that they're thinking. Yeah. So
Brother Delani, what go on?
Rise up, great ones. Rise up. Yes, I am. Present in the class,
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here to join the reason, as a student in the trad class,
Devices.
So, Brother Delani, if I did follow, we are talking about the Afcon and its aftermath, and we are about to go into one of the big talking points coming out of the Afcon.
Yes,
is are not Africans real Africans, right? Because coming out of the Afcon, because of the fallout with the whole Senegalese coming off the field, coming back on the field, ended up winning the tournament. You know what I mean? And it seems like the whole of Africa was against the Moroccans and want them to lose. And now it's a big talking point. Are not Africans? Should they be even in the tournament? Some people are saying. You know what I mean? Because people are saying that they are Arabs, and most of them claim themselves to be Arabs. But I hear a talking point from the Moroccans saying that they are in between a rock and a hard place, because the Arabs are saying they are not Arabs, and the Africans are saying they're not Africans.
I mean, I think the same thing was, this discussion was happening in the World Cup, if not the last World Cup as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So that's why I want to bring the talking point to the table, because it's a talking point that has been going on. Because I remember the last World Cup, like people were saying, should we support the Moroccans? Are they a real Africans? Should we support them as we support other Africans? So I want to have that discussion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes.
What make you African, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or
it leads to a broader discussion.
Yes.
It's a starting point into a more deeper historical discussion about humanity, people in the world, migration. So I think if we want, this is going to be like a master class by the Chad class about peopling, African people, migration pattern, DNA, migration, and we can look at it from all these angles, but we can start from the sports and move on to the more anthropological stuff. You know what I mean?
We are right into it now, man. Right into it. We are going into it now.
All right, sir. And I did listen to the sports, and sorry. Unfortunately, I did not was a part of that euphoria of the African Cup. And so I mostly watched the highlights. I didn't watch it. I didn't get involved. I was not embedded like that. But I do respect the enthusiasm and the whole spirit of the tournament. You know what I mean? And I did hear all those points that was made on the panel. I did hear them discuss in various medium and media house. See it, and they all seem valid to me for just an observer. You know what I'm saying? But yes, my brothers, this discussion is a very good one. Who gonna kick it off? Who gonna moderate? When teacher
Maya there can't talk, man. They are up on the floor, man.
Yeah, man. You have the floor, brother, on it. You have the floor.
Okay, all right. Well, okay then. So for me, even I think we did recently we did a piece about the Algerians and declaring France colonialism in Algeria as a crime. And I subsequently did a piece on it as well. And I don't know if you see now, I clip it up and I send a shot around where I actually call on, I big up Algeria for that move, but we also calling for accountability for the North African country, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. Is a deep-seated racism against indigenous African people on that continent. Well documented, for a long time, from the Trans-Sahara enslavement of African people across North Africa into the so-called Middle East, into Iraq, in the salt mines and other mines in Iraq. They actually import African people into those regions to dig, sometimes with their bare hands, see it, the minerals out the ground to give to these people, see it. Also, they use them as servant in their house. And sometimes, in many cases, they castrate the men and they take the women as concubines. See it. And that has been going on for centuries in North Africa. And it has created a situation where Black Africans, and I have to create this distinction for the sake of this discussion, so we are in clarity here. Africans in North Africa are a distinction. There's a distinction between the indigenous Black Africans who have been in Africa for thousands of years than those who have migrated to Africa, those who have invaded North Africa, and those who are, conquered North Africa. We have to make a distinction between that. So, but we do know that Moroccan Empire was probably the first to be set up in West Africa. And I think we discussed it recently when we were talking about the caliphate in where the
Nigeria. Nigeria.
There was a region they called Dakota. What was the name?
Yes.
Yes. Sakota.
Dakota.
And it was linked to that. So, I mean, I'm just giving a brief look. I
Yeah,
don't
man.
want to go labor too long, Pandit, but I just want to just kind of get the people that understand, say, this whole Arab, and some people call it Islamic invasion of North Africa, is a reality.
Yeah.
This migration of millions of people who have come to North Africa, they have conquered a lot of territory. Because Algeria is no small piece of land. You don't see it. You don't see it.
Biggest country in Africa.
Libya is no small piece of land. You don't see it. Mauritania.
Mali.
Those are major piece of real estate. You don't see it. But for the most part, you know, Africans on the continent have welcomed them. That's from my perception. They have welcomed them. They have treated them as fellow Africans, and they're willing to break bread with them. But we have seen, documented over and over again, a situation where the Arabs, them, are those settlers in North Africa, have been discriminating against African people. They have actually enslaved African people in those regions.
I believe it's a cultural practice for them.
Yes. Most of those rich families and middle class will have a African as a servant in their house.
Yeah.
This is what I'm getting to understand that taking place. So there's already a superiority type of thing going on there.
But Dulani, they always been, right, from the time the Arabs coming from the Arabian Peninsula and invading that region, because they actually started in the 7th century on that coast, right? Morocco, those areas, right? So they invaded there pretty early in history. But since that time to now, that whole relationship between the Arabs and the African, the Berber people or the Nubians who lived there centuries and thousands of years, that has been one of discrimination. That has been one of injustice. That has been one of neglect. These people have no rights in their own land. The Arabs have oppressed them from that time till now. The oppression continues.
Righteously and naturally, my brother. That's exact. And you see, they have a practice as well where you see similar to South America. And many of those Central American countries where they're trying to breed out the black population.
Brazil being the biggest offender, all right?
There's an intentional policy there where they do not encourage their daughters or their son to go and intermarriage with darker skinned people. That same pattern exists there as well. You know, see, so we have to look at these are some of the layers we are discussing while we are talking about even within the context of football.
Right.
You know, see, this is the underbelly. The underbelly in the society and the psychology of the people when you go there. You know, see.
So so we know all the atrocities, we know the history of Arabs migrating to Africa. Right, but should the talking point what we want to get to, should we accept, because Binky said the 7th century, but history has showed us that there are Muslims or Arabs have been there since the 3rd century in North Africa.
No, that would be the Arab, because the Muslims started in 640.
640
would be the Muslim invasion, but before that, the Arab them would be encroaching. But I think
the same people.
But the actual
Muslim and Arab kind of different. I mean different. Because Arabs was before Muslim. Arabs was there before Muslim.
Right. But we are the same people.
Same people, same culture.
It accelerated in the 7th century. In the 640, 50, it started to accelerate.
It's like
ideological push.
Right.
So the first to be conquered was the Berbers, you know. The
Berbers,
Them subdue the Berbers, and convert them to Islam. And then them subdue the black people in that region.
The Nubians.
the Libyans, the Chad people in Chad, in Mali, and going across, and then now they was able to scoop them up into this expansion into Spain.
Yeah,
you know, see, and where they was known as the Moors.
The Moors.
So when they went into places like the Maghreb, the Andalus, and other part of Spain, they conquered Spain and ruled Spain for a while.
They went as far as Italy, I believe.
Well,
no, it was the Iberian. It wasn't the Iberian Peninsula. They
conquered Portugal and all them. They kind of like one. It was called the Maghreb, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, somebody may have the computer.
So the kingdom was the Maghreb kingdom. It was the dynasty was the Maghreb.
Maghreb, yes. Yeah. But outsiders, some European call them the Moors.
Right. Yeah, man, them call them the Moors. Yeah, the European. The Moors are European.
Moors.
Terminology of them, yeah.
Yeah, so, but what happened was, when they were defeated, in the 1400s, they retreated into North and West Africa. And when they went into West Africa, now they started to overthrow many of the kingdom them that was there. They had actually damaged, broken up many of the kingdom them. So by the time when the European got there, those kingdom was mashed up and beat up and up.
Brother Lani.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if my knowledge quite accurate, because it is actually I mean that two invasion, right? But invasion are two.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to use the word invasion, because I thought the initially Arabs came to Africa by migration, like natural human migration. Natural. Because humans have always been migrating forever. You know what I mean? So it was natural human migration, and then migration, you know what I mean, over and consistently develop into culture. And you know what I mean?
Yes.
It became the Maghreb.
I must
right?
Say
but what I brother Lani, I just want to say when I don't want to mix up the Maghrebs and the Ottomans, because when the Ottomans came into North Africa, they came and conquered the whole region, come from Egypt, come right back and stop at Morocco, because they didn't conquer the Maghrebs, in Morocco, It stopped at Morocco. So Morocco was the only part of North Africa that wasn't conquered by the Ottomans, right? So it's kind of two different dynasties. So me, I wonder if when you say them overthrow, because I know the Ottomans overthrew all those dynasty that was in North Africa.
Yeah, now you touch on a very important point. I must say, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a very important point, because you have to understand in those time, we're going back in time now. At the time was the Romans was conquering North Africa.
Yes.
The Romans was conquered Egypt, Libya, Tunisia. It was the Ottoman. I think the Roman that was called Byzantine.
The Byzantine.
Empire.
Yes, the Byzantine.
The Ottoman came in and overthrew them.
Right.
Yes.
And that's when the Arabs them took over Egypt and named it the Egypt Republic of the Arab Republic of whatever it is now. The Islamic Arab Republic of Egypt.
Today is Egypt.
Yeah. So that's when the real Arabization and Islamization of North Africa began. Doing that invasion you're talking about there. That would have solidified it. And then when that happened it continued. Because those are the same forces that continue to go into West Africa, North Africa, and cross over into Iberia and went on to conquer Spain. Those are the same forces. They will actually run from a place.
You're talking the Ottomans?
The same Ottomans, them.
I don't think the Ottomans go Spain,
No, but it wasn't the Ottoman them, But it was the same invasion continue. The Ottoman themselves didn't continue. But that same wave, that Islamic expansion, they would call it, is an Islamic expansion.
Yeah, but I'm saying that with the Maghrebs were there before, before the Ottomans, so they had expanded into Spain already, and so the Europeans would have called all Muslims. Once you're a Muslim,
Moors.
them call you Moor.
So
them have the black Moors who were convert African were converted to,
right.
and they are what they call the white Moors. I can't remember the exact name of them. They have a name for them. I can't remember the exact name right now. But they are the black Moors and the white Moors, right? So these are European terminology with them.
Yes.
The term of them use, right?
Yes.
Right. But I'm saying so they were. My knowledge of it, they were there in Spain and in North Africa from the 3rd century, right?
Oh.
Even the Berbers who were converted to Islam because of the culture, the culture coming from the Arabs, right?
Okay, you could be right about my reading of history.
Really. Before we go in on the reason, we have African goddess asking a question. The Ottomans were the Turks, right? So they want to clarify whether the Ottomans are the same people they refer to as the Turks today.
So the Ottomans, after World War I, and they take away all the land that they, when they claimed or conquered, the only land they were left with, which is modern day Turkey. Turkey.
So that's a yes. Then they are the people
so,
who refer to as the Turks.
Yeah, because what was his name back then? Oh my God, Turkey was called.
It was called Istanbul.
No man, that was another name.
No.
And I must in Iran.
But Constantine.
No.
Constantine.
Constantinople.
Yeah.
Constantinople. Right.
Istanbul was the capital.
Right.
Yeah,
So that was it. That was their headquarters. So they're, you know what I mean? They consolidated to that, and the Allies left them with that piece of land, Turkey.
But they are the Turks. To her question, they are the Turks. They're the same people. She calls the Turks.
They're the Turks. No, the Turkey. No,
they were the Turks then too. The Turks, they were the same. They're the same people.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure.
No, that's correct, man. The people.
Yeah, they come from the Turkic dynasty, Remember, the Turks was a dynasty,
Okay.
They are the Turks.
Okay.
Let me explain. Yeah. Let me clarify that. You see where Turkey is today?
Yeah.
That was called Constantinople in the past.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That I know.
Headquarters was
the headquarters of the Ottoman.
Yes. But what you have to understand is that the actual expansion of the Arabs or the Muslim into North Africa was actually conducted from Baghdad, not necessarily from Constantinople. They just happened to be under the same ideology, but it was actually coming from the House of Wisdom.
Yeah, but
in Iraq.
What I am trying to establish it was two expansion of Arabs. It was one the Ottomans and one the natural migration.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have the natural migration, which end up being the Maghrebs into North Africa and also in the Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah, so what Delany is establishing is that although it's two separate things like that, what he's saying is that him classify all of them as the Islamic expansion. So all of it comes.
Yeah, man, but me I say we have to kind of think that because it's kind of different because when the Ottoman come in with a different type of rule,
Okavongo.
Yeah.
The invasion of Spain came after.
After what?
After they took Egypt. In 1640, in 640, what Bingi was talking about, that took place before they went into Spain, and conquered the Maghreb. The Maghreb conquering took place after.
In 640.
In 640s, when somebody can Google it. And
but the Ottomans is long after that.
The Ottoman was before. They were before
Ottomans
that.
before 640?
Before that, yes.
Remember, the Ottomans ended in World War I,
No, man, the Ottoman was 1299 to
Yeah, man, the Ottomans is
1922.
in World War One.
They
Yes,
later,
yes,
brother
yes,
Dulan.
yes.
So,
They way
the
later.
Ottoman is purely a
Yeah,
recent empire, you know.
they
Right,
later.
no, but I'm saying the connection. Yes, you're right. The
The Ottomans,
connection.
the Ottoman was the
connection.
last like
Yeah,
empire
real
rule
empire.
in that area, you know.
Yeah,
Ottoman is after the Greeks,
yeah,
after the Romans, you know.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No.
Way after.
Okay. What I was referring to was the ancient empire.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was referring to. The ancient empire that was Istanbul and all them place there.
Yeah.
Right.
Those empire, they're not the one that went into Spain, you know. So I want to let you know.
No. None of them go to Spain. I said the Maghreb them go to Spain.
But what I'm saying though, that didn't take place until about the 700s.
Yeah, man.
I think it's like the 700s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
See? And then no, I don't know if there was a connection between that invasion and actually the Ottoman them. I don't know the link. Maybe somebody can enlighten me on that link.
No, man,
But
the Ottomans are a new entity of Arabs conquering. Because remember, you have different, even though they are all Arabs.
It's always been a swing between African controlling the region and Arabs controlling the regions.
Well, not since the Arabs move in, though. It's always been the Arabs.
Even with.
Even though you have all them is classified, you know, all them is Arabs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
you know, you have different kingdoms and different dynasty within. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you have, so even when you have the Maghrebs, you have other groups who are controlling other parts of Africa, other parts of even
North Africa.
No, the Middle East. No.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you have different kind of dynasty are going in there. So.
Right. But the what Ottomans, I'm saying is that while the Arabian dynasties were invading North Africa, right? It was never a consistent rule for any one of them to control it. So it
we call consistent.
Like just them just have it all along, in continuity. There was always a break where the African people would come back and control the place for a while.
The Muslims have been there from the 3rd century, you know, and the king, the king of sitting there, you know, of Morocco, you know, go back to what 3,000 years, you know.
Hold on.
3,000 years.
I think we need some chronology. We need chronology because what happened here now? You know what's throwing us off? The Ottomans. Because you see, what Okavango is saying, there's a few disjointed. I think Rasdada is Indian on it. There's some disjointed part of history because Bingy was mentioning one part, I was mentioning another part, and then now you're mentioning another part. And then I think we need to tie them in. Because Algeria was a part of the Ottoman Empire.
Yes, I. I'm telling you, when the Ottoman was conquering, they're conquering all of North Africa except Morocco.
But that's what kind of confused the thing because by this time, the empire that was running in Maghreb was done.
That's what I'm saying. They're already established there for a long time, and they're already. I think by then they already retrieved from Spain already, and just control in Morocco.
Yes. So that is the reason why it kind of are coming in.
And they are still the people who are still in control of Morocco right now. Yeah. Right.
But one thing for sure though, Okavanga, you have to go and take a check about the 300 because at that time it would not have been nothing to do with Islam at that time.
I said 3,000, but I mean at 300 I mean still.
300.
Islam came out a little bit later. It came later.
At that time it wouldn't have been Islam was not involved. It was just purely Arab or whatever.
Arab people, not the religion per se.
And I don't think they had made it to.
But the Moors were religious, man.
But they were not.
Yeah, but we talk about Islam, the practice of Islam when it actually started.
The Moors wasn't existing yet.
When they conquered the Iberian Peninsula,
Not the 700.
Andalusia.
They
were Muslims.
There was Muslim. There was Islamic.
Islamic.
Yeah.
Islamic.
Islamic, but that's from that's from when? That's from the 7th century, right?
Yeah. 700. No, 700.
700s.
Yeah, like 648 was introduced into the region.
It's a 640. See,
640 is the introduction.
Let's be clear to our listeners.
Yes.
Because the chronology is what showing off everything.
Yeah.
Because there's several conquests taking place. There's one with the overthrowing of the Byzantine, overthrowing of the Romans them in Egypt. That took place in 640, 641, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody need to Google it and get the chronology of these things.
Yeah, it's 640. It's 640.
And then it continue, to the expansion across North Africa to where now they started to go into the Andalus or the Maghreb. In the 700, almost 100 years, or even 75 years later, they didn't stop. The Islam the Caliphate continued to expand across North Africa, to Libya, Tunisia, and then places.
And just to be clear, in that timeline, Brother Lulani, why certain things are not possible is because Islam itself only starts in 610. So keep that in mind. Islam, the practice of Islam starts in 610. So you have to be clear about what's happening prior to that or during that period. So we know the influence itself, how long it took to spread. That's why you see it present at 640. But it's a quick influence, because from the time it starts to 640, that's what we see.
What we need for overs as well, right? That when we say the formation of Islam is in this period of time, right?
Yes.
Where for over say the Arabic people from Arabia, these people were living this culture which evolved into Islam long before the terminology of Islam. Because Islam is a representation of their culture and their lifestyle that they were living all along.
Well. Not true, Ras. It's not totally true, right? So prior to Islam, these people were what we consider or what they consider to be pagan worshippers. Remember, so Islam changed that. What Islam did and Muhammad did was bring the concept of one God. No more idolatry. These things, right? So it wasn't really taking their culture and turning into Islam. It was a new way of thinking of God.
Yeah,
but the concept
and it was coming off. It was like a pushback on the one God coming from the Christians.
From Christianity.
Yes, it was.
We have to be honest, though, that Islam is a carrier of Arab culture.
Yes.
It's a container of Arab culture.
Yes.
Just like Christianity.
Formulate Christianity out of all these different groups of people. Practice them different way of living, and them form a centralized view of this ideology. Which them canonize and form and create this Christianity. And the same thing the Arab man do.
Same thing. Because Ras, one of the points is they oppressing African tradition, the thing that they call idolatry and all of this is African tradition. They oppressing
all religion normally come with some culture. A culture is always come with a culture it start from. But not straight from the argument, Bingi. Are not Africans. Put all that into context. Are not Africans real Africans? Do you consider them, or should we consider them Africans?
So I think that's a good point. North Africans are not only made up of Arabs, but it's also made up of Africans, the Berbers, right? Indigenous Africans. So in that case, I would say indigenous North Africans are true Africans. Again, I would say indigenous Africans, Moroccans,
what about the rest?
Berbers.
What about the rest of them?
No, The rest of them, they are residency.
All right.
They are residency. I mean, you and I are residency.
What kind of card them have? What color card them have? Them have a brown card.
Where did I want some
I know, but it's
residency. You see,
Where's Yaga?
You see, with you, I think you might have connection issues.
Okay.
I think you see, with you, the North America, even the Americas,
Mm-hmm.
the European come and the African come. And we have been in this region now for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us call ourselves American and
and Jamaican.
Yeah. We're not indigenous to the Americans.
Yeah.
Even in Afrobean, we had a full land. We just a capture land. Capture land. So the original residence has been wiped out. But in Africa, the original residences still exist.
It's still there.
Yeah.
In the millions.
Yeah, in the millions.
So they are not indigenous African. However, I must mention this for the record, that there have been back migration into North Africa. In the evolution of man and the expansion of Homo sapiens outside of Africa, they went through Kemet. Before Kemet was Kemet. We're not talking about civilization Kemet. But that was one of the parts of man migration out of Africa, was through that region, going up into the Levant and out into the wider region of the East. And then some went through the other side as well. What you call around so at the Bering, I know the Bering Strait.
That is higher up.
But going into Spain, man, that little part that's all. There's a little bridge, so.
Yeah, man. I remember my name now.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
The Mediterranean. Mediterranean.
You go through that, so you can walk.
Yeah, right. That's so.
You can walk into Europe and further on. So those were the two road. But did you know that the Berbers them migrated earlier and came back into Africa? The Berbers them is actually considered to be Europeans, you know. Yes, because they were as a part of the early first migration of Homo sapiens, but many back migrated into Africa and settled into Africa for thousands of years. Even though they had came up with the first wave, they didn't continue with the journey. Like the others who broke off, went into Europe, broke off and went into Asia, and eventually crossed the Bering Strait into the Americas. See, they didn't go along that journey. They returned back into Africa. And some of them that went across the Arabian Peninsula, they also migrated back into North Africa as well.
So that would be
so
indigenous people that he's referring to.
So then the only indigenous people would be the Nubians to the region.
And even that we have to question that, because
I don't think you can say the Berbers are not indigenous.
The Nubians them was actually named the Nubians by the Greeks.
Yeah, they were. But
no, the indigenous people would be all of the people in Africa who did not migrate out of Africa, who contained the original DNA.
Resettled. They still would be indigenous people of Africa.
Yes, so
that is
the reason why the Berbers are considered to be indigenous.
Well, Anna, but if you're gonna say that who migrate and come back are not indigenous.
I didn't say that.
Are indigenous? We say
yes.
They are indigenous.
Yes.
But everybody would be indigenous who migrate back.
No, but it depends on the timeline. Because also we have to mention as well mutation. We have to also include.
No, mutation. I'm just saying everybody, every group of people on Earth migrate out of Africa.
Yeah. But what we have to deal with
mutation
as well. Yeah. Because now we're going into genetics. We're overlapping. We're overlapping.
But that's about
we're dealing with evolution, and we're dealing with the genetical mutation that take place, adapting to new environment. Also, interbreeding that take place in the new region.
Economy of Afcon yet.
Because remember now, just to touch on it briefly, Homo sapiens migrated. There was many waves of migration out of Africa, you know. Only one was successful. The Homo erectus tried to make it out.
Right.
And they wasn't successful. There was a set that developed in Europe called the Neanderthal. They didn't make it either.
Yep.
And there was another set called the Denisovans. No, we do know that we have evidence that there's been contact between Homo sapiens and Neanderthal.
Yes.
Subsequently, the Europeans, them who migrated, originally started as Africans, migrated across, interacted with the Neanderthal. The Neanderthal didn't fare well. They defeated the Neanderthal, but they was able to interbreed momentarily. Because we know that up to 5% of the European DNA contain elements of Neanderthal DNA within them. So we know that there was something going on with them. The people in the Andaman Island of going towards India, those people contain elements of Denisovans DNA in them. So there was there was connection going on there. But what was different was they were Homo sapiens that came in contact with those Neanderthal and those Denisovans. So there's mixtures. So, but the thing about the point I'm making is that when you migrate out of Africa and you mutate to become a new haplogroup to survive in a different region, you're no longer considered to be African.
Indigenous Africa. No,
and we're only using this word scientifically at this moment because you're still African, but you're not labeled as African anymore.
Because
you mutated.
Yes.
And you have developed a new genetic strand. The original African contained the largest amount of DNA. The largest. If you have a crayon box, how I hear Neil deGrasse Tyson explain it. If you have a box of crayon and the box of crayon start to move, and when you get to another region, it drop 3. And they go to another region and it start drop. So by the time you get to 10,000 years later, it's only half of the crayon. The box with the most crayon would be the original.
Right.
Yes,
right.
The most colors. So African people are the one who contain them. The one that remain in Africa contain the vast variety of DNA on the planet Earth. And that's how they know that the Africans were the humanity, was the mother and fathers of humanity.
But Brother Dulani, back to Morocco. Then again, the true Africans, they will still be the Nubians. The Nubians are coming from the Nile Valley.
Yes, but you had Africans even before the Nubians. You see what I'm saying? Because you had the Bantu people and you had the people in the Congo. You had people, in Southern Africa.
Right.
So I mean, even in the Rift Valley, Rift Valley, all along the Nile, there, going down into the Congo River and the Congo Basin, you had humanity still lingering. Pockets of humanity still lingering. And even across the Sahara, which was actually a oasis, it was not always a desert.
Yeah,
true.
People was living there.
Yes,
the desertification took place.
Yeah,
and it became uninhabitable. So the Nubians, it's just one terminology. It's one terminology, but I want us to be mindful that the people didn't call themselves Nubians.
We know that.
It was the Greeks them that called them Nubians.
Yes.
What are they doing?
Ahmed Tijani, 1716, says Homo sapiens evolved in Africa around 300 years ago in Morocco, in Africa.
In Morocco.
Yeah, that's what the evidence leading to right now. That Morocco, the oldest fossil of a Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens.
Is found in Morocco.
Found in Morocco.
And that's as far as we know.
That's as far as we know at the moment.
Ahmed Tijani says he's making a disclaimer. He's saying, I am Moroccan and African. So I guess he's saying that
let's be clear. The region that is called Moroccan today Those Homo sapiens have nothing to do with the modern day Moroccans.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing.
Okay.
Dada, the question, Dada. The question, the main question.
Yeah, well, like we're saying, it's a very difficult
Well, Dada, and for all who just join in, the discussion is about are not Africans real Africans.
They're quite aware of it,
They're quite aware. Okay. Just say
Like and share
the live.
Wait, before Brother Dulani, you didn't say if Morocco is African or not, you know.
We come back to him, didn't we? We come back to him.
You didn't say they should be considered.
Him sidestep it, but I come back to him.
Okay, it's a very tricky question to come to a definitive response, and as we're realizing that because of the historical context, because of the cultural context, because of the biological context, there's so many things that really play out in this saga for us to come to a conclusion to say, okay, yes. But what I will say is this: the present day representation of quote unquote North African people are not indigenous African people. I will say that.
Okay. All right. I want to say something on the I want to say something on the matter, right?
Yeah.
So we have this big thing going on North Africa, between North Africa and who is real Africa, not Africans, right? And one of the things what drive this conversation, we are even having this conversation, is the thing where North Africans act like, you know, they are better. That is out there. The narrative is they are better than Africans are. You know what I mean? Some people think, you know what I mean? Some West African think that are Africa, sub-Saharan African think that they act like they're better. Some not African actually think that they are better, or they are, you know, levels above. You know what I mean? And the thing that we shouldn't look past colonization.
Right.
Colonization play a big
Arab
part.
And the European.
Both of them. Where colonization pit these people against each other. Right? And more time the people get along fine with each other.
Without these,
it's just the dynasties and the whichever rule was taking place, pit these people against each other.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day now, at the beginning of the day, you know, we are all human beings, you know. It doesn't the color of your skin or your culture, you know what I mean, doesn't make us really different, because, you know what I mean, people culture is based on where they are living. That's how they develop the culture to survive in that area, right? But at the beginning of the day, we are all human beings. You know what I mean?
Tony Mason says geographically, North Africa is part of the African continent.
Yes, it is. We
North
acknowledge
Africa
that.
is a part of the African
we acknowledge
continent.
That. It is part of the continent.
And my take on it is...
He's giving his response.
Okay.
He's saying geographically, North Africa is a part of the African continent. Culturally and historically, North Africa has been influenced by various factors, including Arab, Berber, and the Mediterranean tradition. So he's saying culturally, he doesn't consider them African. But geographically, they're African. Because they're on the continent. So that's Tony Mason Jar 2226. Thanks for your input, brother. And there's another question where it says, if we bring, where is that one? Where it says, they're saying basically, if you carry a lion to England and they have a cub, is the cub an English cub or just a lion cub?
Okay. So let me just finish. What may I say? I mean, maybe we can explain that at the end of my take on the whole thing. Right? So we know that human beings have been migrating forever. And I mean, human beings migrate out of Africa, and we see where in North Africa they migrate back into Africa. when just like human beings migrate out of Africa and now they are Europeans or they are Arabs, when do you become African after living in Africa for how many years or how long it take for you to become African? Because within Africa, people that didn't leave, you have different cultures, right? Uh, Africa has the most diversity when it comes down to culture and people.
Yeah.
I mean, people who
Languages,
the languages, cultural practices, religious practices, right? When do they become African just like they became Arabs?
That's a good question, and I think that question have a lot of implications.
It does.
Because we have to talk about South Africa. There
I was
are
gonna go there.
So it doesn't have implication just for the Arabs.
They're not Africans, they're Afrikaans.
Because you have Afrikaners and you have those call themselves Ariana. Is Ariana them there?
Yeah.
Ariana, something like that.
Yeah. It's madness. Can you imagine that? All black village in Europe, a town or a city. But the question is a deep question. But I think the question has been answered still,
Mm-hmm.
If we take present day geopolitics, continental politics, there is a thing called, there's a counterforce to Pan-Africanism called All-Africanism. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that concept, All-African. So it's have to deal with the continental African.
But isn't that the same thing?
It's called All-African, All-Africanism.
But Pan-African means All-African.
Well, the thing about Pan-Africanism is that there's a common struggle that binds us together.
Yeah.
That's one of the
right.
the common struggle, a common adversaries, a common enemy that has a common have enslaved, colonized us, and so. But there are some on the continent that have not experienced that. They don't know what it's like to be enslaved for hundreds of years. See and how that need repairing and lose them language and them culture and them history and all that. They don't have no experience of that. But I think that African humanity, our Ubuntu is so strong that we have been able to extend our Ubuntu to welcome other people into our continent.
Can you define Ubuntu for the viewers as well, please?
Ubuntu is the interconnectedness between all our humanity. It simply means that I am because we are.
Right.
And because we are, therefore I am.
Right.
And it's, so we have been able to extend our Ubuntu to other people and to welcome them. Did you know that all the North African countries, them have a seat at the AU? They had a seat before in the Organization of African Unity. I mean, we have always welcomed them. In so far as they was willing to work with us, respect us, trading and all other things. But we still have to hold them accountable. We still have to hold those entities accountable for how they treat black people. Because they still carry on the vestiges of racism, the superiority complex thing when them have. We have to root out those things. But biologically, we can say if we are talking about indigenous African, we have to be honest, they're not indigenous African.
They're not, okay.
But
they
can become nationalized African. You know what I mean?
But not
nationalization process.
But the question is, when do they become just African? Because I look at this now.
But how? But in what term do you mean that though? Because if you're born, it's a national identity. You're automatically African or you're indigenous. Which one?
No one questions if Sudanese are Africans. No one questions if Ethiopians are African, Eritreans are Africans. No one questions if Tanzanians are Africans. But we know of those countries having Arab influence. And they are also mixing with the Arab culture and Arabs there, mixing with them. I don't see that question of them being Africans, you know what I mean?
No, but that's a good perspective, you know, because that's, you see, with the mix of genetic, there's no pure Arab. There's very few pure Arab you're gonna find in Africa, because the intermingling, the interbreeding between the population, even though they try to get rid of their African DNA as much as they can. If you just do a DNA survey of Africa, you find that the vast majority of them have some element or some portion.
Yeah, you go have that. You go have that. That's the human reality. That's a human
DNA
reality
in them. And so therefore, I mean, that would probably qualify them as well. You know, they have claim because they have blood lineage in the continent.
But Brother Lani, I'm saying if Sudanese, people from Somalia, people from Tanzania, from Ethiopia,
call them black.
Since they have darker skin, and in Sudan, it kind of varies too, right?
But they've been absorbed. I'm saying, it's an absorption that took place. They was absorbed into the culture. In North Africa, they became the dominant culture, and that's what kind of juxtaposition.
In the Morocco and the Algeria and them, like that Arab, that richer Arab gene pool is dominant in those places. So that is why the question arises. In the Sudan and Eritrea and Ethiopia and these places where
African.
You understand? So that's why the question doesn't lie there. Even though they might, even in a lot of those places, they might still practice Islam. But because the gene pool is a stronger African-based gene pool in those areas, that's why they're not questioning it. But in the Algeria and the Morocco, them now, you find a stronger Arabian gene pool. So that's But
even in South Africa,
1987.
What?
In 1987, see, Morocco did apply to join the Economic Area Community of EU. Yeah, which was the predecessor to the EU. And their bid was rejected. So they probably see themselves more as Europeans than they see themselves as Africans.
On what basis do Yaga? On what basis it was rejected?
They are able to flip-flop between both sides because the continent of Africa is convenient to them. They will say they are Africans, and when it's convenient to them,
they say they're European.
I think
and the proximity to Spain and Gibraltar.
Morocco is a diverse place. We have to put it in the context, right? You have to remember that Morocco was kicked out of the AU.
The Arab League.
No, man. The AU, I call it wrong.
African
Union.
Yeah, AU, right? They were kicked out of it because of their thing with West Sahara. So I think that's why when they tried to join the EU, because they were nothing.
They were on their own.
Yeah. Right.
So they needed to
but Morocco, you know, talking about Morocco, because that's where the argument start from.
Right.
Morocco is a diverse
most places
place,
are.
You know. Huh?
Most places are.
No, man. We say most, but my brother is very diverse. Like
dominantly Arab though.
That so Arab is a dominant, but you have the Arab, you have the Berbers. All right. What we talk one time? We can't talk one time.
They tend to hold on to their Arab identity more than their African identity.
Yeah, because Arab is a dominant culture right there, right? But you know, so you have the Berber them, and you have the sub-Saharan African them in there, and then you have the Europeans also there. So it's a really a melting pot place. You know, we have a lot of people there. You know.
Okavango asked a question earlier, you know, which Wildflower 7925 asked the same question as well, and I think we've kind of skirted around the real coming to a definitive response to it in terms of you included time in your question, right, Okavango? She's just saying what makes someone an African. You're saying those who left and came back, how long do they have to be now to be classified as African?
Yes.
Right. So it's basically the same question. So I want to get a response of that. what makes someone an
Somebody are
African?
African.
What criteria is necessary for us to classify a person to say, okay, this person is African?
Let me
But you're
start.
asking a question based on two things. Hold on a second, Okovango. The person asking a question based on two things. It's two parts. If you're born, we're talking about national identity. If you're born in Africa, you're African because you're born there. But if you're talking about ethnic identity, then that's something different.
Different.
Africans who are indigenous, black people as they call us, those are the people that we are looking at. Those people who have lived there for centuries and centuries, thousands of years. Yes, but if you're born in Africa, that's your nationality. That's your national identity. You're African. What we're talking about, and I know what we're talking about, is the people who were originally there, the indigenous people, the children of the sun, so to speak. That is who we are actually speaking about when you say African and who's African and not African. These people who are Arabs, they're not Africans in the sense
All
of
right.
where they're
In terms of
coming from,
ethnic,
but they
ethnic groups.
but they're Africans to
Right.
nationality.
Right.
I
Okay.
think
I
that
I
is the
didn't
We're gonna
clarity.
go to
the definition,
Okavango, and
the
then we're gonna go to
definition.
Brother Delani.
all
We're gonna
right.
go Okavango, and then we're gonna go Brother Delani.
Okay, go
Okay.
on.
First, I didn't answer the question that I was asking. Are not Africans real Africans? Personally, I think once you claim Africa, you are an African. If you are living, you're born, raised in Africa, and you claim Africa, I think that
Mhm.
I consider you an African, right?
Mhm.
Once you claim Africa, if you claim something else, then okay, I will say you're not. But once you claim Africa, I also claim you as African, right? Well, the question again.
The question is, what makes someone an African? And you had
Oh,
said,
oh,
how
okay.
long do we
Basically, it's the
see?
same thing, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Mhm.
once you
So
claim
once you claim
Africa,
Africa,
you
okay,
claim Africa, you are
then you're
African.
African. Okay, so
So,
Yes.
Brother Delani.
so one thing, whatever definition we choose, it have to be applicable in most or all cases,
Right.
not just to African continent, but to other
Right.
region. And we're talking about identity here,
Mhm.
because in the level of identity, one can self-define as anything.
Right.
But if we're going to talking about who are indigenous and are who is a migrant and who is
So
a settler, who is
basically, what you're saying, Brother Delani, is there has to be a characterized definition of the
definition.
Is that
term.
The
Right.
definition?
definition must be
But
So once
applicable.
we hear the
the thing
word
is,
African,
Yeah,
this is what it
this
means.
is what it is.
one
Right.
thing. The thing is, Africa is unique, unlike any other place. It's very unique because human beings originated in
Yeah.
Africa, right?
Okay.
Right.
So all human beings came from Africa. So all human beings are
Technically,
indigenous to Africa,
technically.
right?
Okay. Technically,
Right?
don't know. But
No,
hold on.
no,
Let me just
Technically, all human beings come
no,
out of
no,
Africa.
yeah.
no,
Hold
no.
on. Let me just add a
Okay.
little piece to that piece there.
Mm-mm.
The word indigenous now,
No.
because if we're
Mm-mm.
saying indigenous
Right.
African are nationalized, are
Right.
self-defined, claiming that we're African. No, the same thing. What we're saying is that how did the native, the indigenous people of America that they call so-called um, Indians or whatever they call them with the misnomer, how did they become indigenous? They became indigenous because they was the first one to occupy that land.
Right.
So if that could be a working definition. The people them that occupy the land first should be considered to be indigenous to that land.
Mm-hmm.
No, because like you said, there's been a migration because Africa is the birthplace of mankind. It does create a different type of
That's what I'm
conundrum.
talking about.
It creates a different because anybody can come and say, boy, my ancestors came from Africa 55,000 years ago. And you would be correct.
Mm-hmm.
You would be correct.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to accept reality,
Mm-hmm.
geopolitical reality as it exists today, that
Mm-hmm.
those who have migrated out of Africa and mutated are not considered to be African today. So the Chinese is not African. The Europeans are not Africans. The Arabs are not Africans.
Right.
But,
So,
if they come into Africa, or if they claim or self-define as African, we can accept them as brothers if they're willing to work in the interest of African. You know, see,
and that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Because what we're talking about, is Africans leaving Africa, going to China, develop this Chinese culture, and come back to Africa. So now they come with a Chinese culture, the culture. So why you the claim as African is culture that was developed in Africa, and we know this as African culture, and we are saying that culture that was developed out of Africa is not African, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you come back,
Wildflower 7925 says Africans practice African culture and spirituality. So as you're talking about these people coming in with that outside or external culture, then
a culture that was different.
Right,
it was developed outside of Africa. I mean, understand that, but I say when you come back into Africa now and claim Africa, you know what I mean, and that have cultural differences, of course, because that's the case with North Africa. But I mean, I say at some point, and you come back into the land of Africa, I think once you claim it, I mean, 3,000 years on a land, living on a piece of land. I mean, I think they are Africans.
Yeah. And that's why the Berbers them. That's why no one questioned the Berbers them as Africans, even though the Berbers them are technically Europeans.
But I think in simpler terms, right? If we using the term indigenous, I think it should just refer to people who've been on the land before any type of colonization.
Yes.
I think that would be the simpler aspect of what we actually talking about. People who lived there prior to any kind of colonization would be who we define as indigenous.
African.
African people.
That could be a working definition.
Yes.
That would be an acceptable one.
Yes. And those are the people who we really talking about when we say Africans, right?
But, yes, sir. You see, this reason, as I was trying to point out, some of the reason of them being African, it just rooted in colonization, especially the European colonization, right? Because I'm going to bring it up again. Other people who came into Africa, people don't look at them as not being African. When the Polynesians came into South Africa, right now they're those Africans, and people go to Africa to see these people, and they're Africans.
Exposure. No, it's exposure. It's because we don't know about them. A lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of anti-African sentiment in South Africa. Against non-South African. So it depends on your exposure. Right now there are indigenous or native South African black people who fight against other black people because they're from Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Mozambique. And it's mad. It's mad to know that take place. But that's because of this identity thing. And I think the whole idea of our Ubuntu need to shine through our ability to embrace each other. Especially when it's not even in question. Especially when your Africanity is not in question.
We are our worst enemies.
You know, see it, and even remember the Indians from India came into Africa in great numbers as well. They were absorbed into Africa, and many of them claim African identity, but they would not be considered to be indigenous African. But we will embrace them as brothers, even in South Africa. Many of the freedom fighters, they were Indians, came and saw Africa as their home. And had grandparents born in Africa, and
they have a similar struggle too.
They are Africans.
Yeah, so
a similar struggle too.
Right. Even though they see themselves better than us,
some of them
some of them look down on us like they was better, but some of them did fight along with us, and some of them went to Robben Island with Nelson Mandela and suffered for many years. So I mean, my brother, the idea, I think we have to separate the scientific argument from a cultural argument.
Culturally. Right. I think that's the lines, Brother Lani. I think it's culturally. Because if we ask the question, are they culturally Africans? I think my answer will be different.
Right.
Yeah, but culturally, of course, they have Arab culture, it's dominant there. But as I am saying, once they are living there, like, they're not gonna leave. It's 3,000 years. They're not gonna leave. You know what I mean? They're not gonna leave. They are a part of the continent.
Morocco, the vast majority of them have African DNA in them anyway.
Right.
But the dominant culture is
and I'm saying, just like the Polynesians who settled in South Africa, right? And they're just part of the fabric of South Africa now. You know what I mean? People look at Nelson Mandela and them say, oh, Nelson Mandela, him kind of look kind of Chinese one way. You know what I mean? Kind of look like Chinese. That's the Polynesian settlers.
No. He's from the Sankoi people. They're the indigenous.
Yeah.
They're the original one.
But history shows that the Polynesians settled there, and that's why you have these people looking like that.
No. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. The people, the Sankoi people, are the oldest people on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the one who carried the Chinese DNA.
The Chinese carry their DNA. The Chinese carry their DNA. Yes.
But it was expressed in China.
Correct.
Because environmental expression of the DNA. Because members of the African crayon box, all the crayon them in it. Every expression of humanity is in the African them first.
They want the kind of blurry, better than because even though I have heard, I've heard this to be off. I mean, how it was done. I've heard also the Polynesian, because we know that the Polynesian they were very, we call it now.
They were seafaring
people, they go all over the place and settle all over the place.
But who are the Polynesians in history? Who are the Polynesians in history? Where did these people come from?
They come from
they come from Africa, brother. The Polynesians.
No, I'm saying eventually they had to come from. They had to came from Africa, but I'm saying they went and settled in other places first and then came back.
Yeah, but
that's all I know of it.
Yeah, but the influence is still the African influence. That's why we're talking about Nelson Mandela looking a certain way.
The people who became the Polynesian, they are part of the migration that took place and went up into Arabia, went over into India and come down, into Australia, and go along the reach. So they didn't even come across the continent like we are thinking, straight into the Indian Ocean. They're part of that island group in the Indian Ocean. So they went out to Africa. They came out to Africa about 75,000 years ago.
Right. But I'm saying, Brother Lani,
they retain the melanin because of the exposure to the UV ray of the sun. So they maintain it. But let me explain this now. The Sankoi people, they are the original people on the planet today. They are the people with the most diverse DNA on the planet today. They are the one.
Brother Lani, but I'm saying, when they went to the islands, right, and become this seafaring people, and they settled in a lot of places. My knowledge of the history of them is they settled in Madagascar, in the south of Africa. Right, southeast, and they also settled in South Africa, which it kind of makes sense.
But
coming from
that was late in the game. That was late. They came way in remember, Madagascar was settled around the 300, 400. Very late. That time humanity had already gone around the planet.
Well, no, but that's what I said. Them go around the planet already, and because them do the
Sankoi people in South Africa way before that.
Huh?
The Sankoi people where Nelson Mandela descended from were in South Africa for thousands and thousands of years before that even happened. When the European them got there and the Indian them got there, the Sankoi people was already there. Even before the Bantu people, them.
Me know them did that from before Europeans, man. You can come see them.
And they also link, they say they're linked with the pygmies as well, depending on how you splice it up. I don't know if that terminology is even appropriate, but
I'm
they
not
are
even sure
linked.
either.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's appropriate terminology, but they are linked with those people as well.
Any more questions, Dada? Any more questions?
No, good enough. Right now we're kind of good still. So,
From the
but
chat network, you know.
we still never respond to the lion having a cub in England, if it's a English cub or a African cub or just a lion cub.
We can nationalize, man. We can nationalize the lion, man. You can't take an oath, you know?
So
you can't take an oath of
I think
allegiance.
the essence of that reasoning still is just to say that you are what you are, irrespective of where you are.
Where you come from.
You are what you are, and with the lion and that, you know, sometimes is what you claim. Because the thing is, you know, if you move from Jamaica to Afghanistan, you know what I mean, you still claim a Jamaicanness. You know what I mean? I guess you're a Jamaican, but yeah, remember, say that's human beings moving. It's just human beings moving. You know what I mean? It's not really a lion. So of course you cannot become a lion in Afghanistan. You're still a human. You know what I mean? So you're just claiming one nationality over another. But
your identity still remains.
But your identity is the same.
But yeah, that if you want to be still called a Jamaican.
Irrespective of
no,
what
the identity remain the same.
Irrespective of what
listen, if a human go to Afghanistan and you intertwine yourself in that Afghanistan culture and your kids born, they don't remember nothing about no Jamaica.
No, not true. Your identity doesn't change.
Whether they remember
your identity don't change.
Listen,
you have the identity.
They will change and don't remember nothing about no other nationality and just become natural Afghanistan people.
But the reality of their identity, whether they remember or not, is still
identity don't change.
That's their identity. It don't change.
Yeah, but you know a lot of people are like that.
They will be just another person in Afghanistan practicing Afghanistan culture and just a human being. Maybe their skin color will give them away, but you know what I mean?
But that's what we're talking about, your identity.
Are we doing closing arguments here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Okay. I want to do a closing argument on it.
Go ahead.
Yaga, I'll know you don't fry you. I'll not know you fry you.
Give me a chance, brother.
No, your internet now give you a chance.
Glad to have you, man. Come in, Yaga.
Yeah. Welcome to the program, Yaga. Go through.
With all that took place and transpired through the tournament that took place in Morocco, which led us to this discussion: are they Africans or not? The monkey chant that came out was a bit over the top and led a lot of people.
No, man, disgusting, man. That disgusting, man.
And they were well within their right to question their Africanness. And a lot of times, them see their Europeanness and the religious aspect of them.
It's creeping out.
Yeah, before their Africanness. So that is the order in which they see themselves, and no one can deny that.
Yeah.
You know? So it's down to them to determine whether they want to join it as a economic bloc, a religious bloc, but culturally, there are a lot of differences there.
Yes, I. Real
talk.
Brother Delani.
Closing arguments. Let me rise up.
Yaga, I saw that I Sure Speed went there and he felt a little bit of the discrimination as well as a black man in those North African countries.
Yes, sir.
Brother Delani, I watch your piece on I Sure Speed. It was a nice piece, man. Watch the whole thing, man. Nice, man. Hey, people, tune into Clear Thinking, Brother Delani, you know. Tune into it, man. Have a thing on I Sure Speed.
Yes, man.
Yeah, man. Brother Delani have a new spin-off as well, you know, where I deal with innovation in Africa.
Yeah, Pan-African Decoded. I try a thing with the technology. I want to do a lot of presentation about technology, different aspects of technology, and how it can solve problem and help us in our development. So I'll be focusing a lot on that. But to one of the things that I focus on, and it ties into this discussion with I Show Speed, was the discussion between him and his father. His father.
Very, very, very common.
Yes.
School of thought too.
Very
common.
We as Pan Africanists, that pricked my attention.
Yes, man.
Because here's a 20-year-old youth who is just farming, just developing, become the most popular black YouTuber in the world. And
before you continue, Brother Delani, I think he's a perfect representation of what Okavongo is describing as well. In terms of coming through these generational traveling to a point now where they don't have an awareness of their identity. And he's now at that point where he's kind of re-establishing his identity and having this discussion with his dad. So that I think is a perfect segue into what Okavongo is talking about as well.
He's now embracing his Africanness. You know, see it. And he's talking to his father. And he must say, but his father saying he's not African. His father said this to him, you know. And he must say, but dad, we're black. You're black. And the man blacker than, I mean, we can't believe it, you know.
And Brother Delani, you are a lot of people who said that they are not Africans also.
Yes. So that is the reason why I kind of touch upon it, because it's similar to the FBA, the cult of the FBA argument, where my grandparents was born in Mississippi. You know, my grandmother was born in 1875. So that was the reason why he's not African. We're not African. So that was the thing that really touched me and said, boy, imagine the youth I try know himself and I'm moving in a good direction, and you will try to damper the youth by trying to make the youth feel like he's not African. And the youth have to tell, Dad, you're tripping. You're tripping. But I was so, it really encouraged me to know, say, the youth had enough strength to defy his parents in the right way. You know, see, and say, and claim him Africanness. And another part I like about his trip, he didn't go there to be no savior. Because, you know, most people go to Africa to think they can save African. He went there to experience Africa, to submerge in the African culture and show the youth around the world what it's like to be an African. Mississippi people cry, living your water, you know. So them never know Africa was like that, you know. So we've been lied to, you know, just by watching the youth journey, you know. Them never know Africa pretty, have buildings and live like normal human beings. They never thought that was going on because they were fed this negative
colonial indoctrination, you know.
They were crying, living here. Me couldn't believe it, King. So them couldn't believe. But the youth
he's going through a tough time at the moment as well, you know.
Yes. Because
he started a thing there, one black academy where I teach black YouTubers are people who don't have much followers how to become successful as a YouTuber, and they might get some backlash feed from the opposing side of YouTubers because they might say it is African centered and it is African focused. So it goes to show that on the continent you have millions of people and him reach 50 million viewers, and I think him streaming platform over there it raise in profile and raise his image on the continent because he's well loved on the continent, you know.
In Kenya alone, on his live stream, he gained over 250,000 subscribers on one live stream alone. Imagine that. So his impact was such a magnitude. I've never seen nothing like this on YouTube. You know, see. And what people try to control is their attention. And for no say, he went to Algeria and he was discriminated against. And also in Morocco, and he felt it. I mean, like him do when Senegal won the cup, he went there and he celebrated with them. I respect that. You know, see it, him embrace it, and I love that. So, when we can experience culture as well, it make us see life kind of different as well.
Yeah, man.
And one of the things with the FBA, them in America, they're isolated. So they don't see the interconnection of our people. They don't see the beauty.
The Ubuntu law.
Other people culture, eh?
The Ubuntu law.
The Ubuntu is low. Yeah, tell me, it low, man. He want some vibe, he want some stimulation. So, but the father was affected by the cult of Tariq, the FBA, the so-called FBA. They're polluting the mind of many of our African brothers and sisters who don't want to identify as African. And
but
it
the
is sad.
reason again why they don't want to identify that is because of the
Brother
colonial
Dulani, you need reprogramming, Brother Dulani, not
Yes, man.
simulation.
The colonial
It is
indoctrination,
sad.
you know?
Yeah.
Because just like what you
Before
say, in 2026, people can say them still never know that African people living like that. You see me?
Yeah.
So that will show you how great of an impact this indoctrination have.
And the piece I did, I went a little deeper. I went into the movies them that we watch, the education that we receive, and the cartoon networks. That's how they start the program, If you go now and turn to a cartoon channel and look at the commercial that they show, they still showing the video them from 1970s and 50s and 80s,
Yeah.
Where
But
people
you notice that thing I'm say I go on now with that though, Brother Dulani. You notice that the Arabs them are used now?
Yes.
I wonder if you notice that. You notice that the Arabs them are used to them commercial now?
For dirty water and fly on the big belly and them sitting there and it's this
the Arabs you see them are using it now. The Palestinians.
Yes, they might do that. They might do that now. Yes. So what that does, they don't realize, you are painting a picture to this young generation of what Africa is. And they're the same one come up later, come cuss African and call you all kind of dirty name because that's what they have been taught. And unfortunately, when we have shows like this and I Show Speed and others who go to Africa, Wadamaya, and others who can expose the culture, it make African people more proud of themselves. We can know to love Africa again.
And that is the mission.
That's the mission.
And that is the mission.
Expose the beauty
your identity.
And the diversity of Africa. Because, it's not a one story. You know what I mean? It's multiple dimension to the story. You know what I mean? But in my closing argument, I want to say that on the issue of identity, and I said it earlier, that there's an issue called, a self-identify. Anyone can self-identify however he or she chooses. But we have to also deal with the issue of culture. We have to also deal with the issue of genetics, of who we actually, our biology, because it tells a story as well of our journey, our grandparents and where we're coming from. Because the reason why we have to use these multiple things, because people are claiming to be who they are not. And that is a big problem. If it was a situation where you're claiming to be something where you're doing it for the right purpose. But for an African who have been enslaved in America claiming to be Native American and he has no connection whatsoever, you do a DNA test and it'll tell you say 80% sub-Saharan African and 20% European, and he's telling you to swear down that he's a Native American. Has always been in America, never been to Africa, don't know nothing about Africa, and he's from the Arawaka, wherever the name of the tribe them in America. He's claimed that is a problem. It creates confusion amongst our people and our youth who are hearing this misinformation. So that is the reason why we have to bring in more discipline to kind of into the subject matter. So it's not as simple as self-identifying. Because identifying themselves as cat and dog and all kind of things nowadays, you know what I mean? So it get a weird psychologically.
We don't want that.
We don't go down the road there. But genuinely to build a society, and if people are genuine coming into the society to nationalize or interbreed or whatever, we welcome humanity, because remember say a one race, all I go on still,
Yes, sir.
There's only one human race. And the diversity of culture and geography. And
we're born the race part, we're born the race part, one humanity,
One humanity straight. Exactly. One humanity. Straight up. So just the diversity of climate and diversity of region and diversity of language and culture. But everybody can
different expression.
A different expression. So everybody can be loved. Everybody need love. you know, we have enough resources.
Yeah, man, I want love, man. I want love.
Everybody can enjoy, but we have to come through this because enslavement and colonization have really hit us on a different way and a very deep way. The manganese has hit us as African people on a deep way. So we still have to repair the damages done to our consciousness, the fracturedness of our mentality and all that. We still have to go through that process. So this is a part of the process. And while we're dealing with this, we still have to deal with the continental issues. But it's a continuing learning, you know, and doing and practicing. And that's where I land my plane and my boat. What may I do? What may I drive?
Your boat.
Yaga.
Your spaceship.
You have a closing statement.
That's another talk.
Yeah, man, I just say
Space age Africans. We're actually space age Africans.
Yeah.
Go on too.
Closing statement by Yaga. Yaga, please don't make it long like brother than anyone.
And I need to reprogram our minds, our brain, so that we see ourselves for who we are and not what we perceive ourselves to be are in the box with them put in and embrace your African identity, because that is first and foremost before anything else.
Yes, sir. Bingy.
Yes, I. Long discussion, but to the end of the day, Africans for Africa. If you are African by identity, you can't escape it, no matter how whatever you see in verbally. If you're
however you identify.
However you identify yourself verbally, I'm saying verbally again. Because it doesn't matter, right? There's an identity we're talking about here, that if you're African, you can't escape it, right? And that's the reality. When someone look at you, there's something about you that qualifies you based on how you look within the African chronology. That's what we're talking about. Embrace your Africanness, right? Work with what you have. But most of all, it is about us coming together and realizing who we really are on this earth. I think that is more important. Having this sense of belonging and being able to have solidarity amongst ourselves. We always going to have distractors. That's normal. We always going to have distractors. And we're not talking about the rest of humanity, because Africans are the most undeserving compared to the rest of humanity based on what we've been given, what's been taken from us. We are the ones who really need to develop ourselves within our ethnic group as people within this race called humanity. That's why we're dealing with African people. But most of all, we got to realize the only way this is going to work is for us to come together. The only way this is going to work is when we have this realization of who we are and what we must do for each other. Because if we look at the rest of humanity, the way they're making this so-called progress is by working together, putting their differences aside. So, again, Africa for Africans. Anywhere you are on this earth and you're a black man, you're an African.
You're African. Yes, sir. Give Isis.
So
we do give thanks.
Go on.
You get your closing already?
No, sir.
We need to get your closing before Brother Dylan.
No, sir.
But say what? Closing, Rasta. Closing the pan line yet.
Please do your closing and don't make it as long as
closing the pan line yet.
We're not close it, man.
That
was warm up, Regine. I warm up that Regine.
Warm up.
I rigs,
yeah. Yes, I.
Yeah, but what I say.
But yeah, let me take it first. So when I say I tried the Pan-African way, right? It wasn't to see Africans as the dominant force or the best thing or the best in everything. It was a a thing what we see where Africans are viewed as less than everybody else. You know what I mean? And when we look upon it, we say humans are human beings and Africans should be seen just as you see any other human being. Every human being should be equal on earth and seen as just human being on earth equally, everybody equally. And that's what I want to see for Africa. And that's why we are tried this part of Pan-African is to uplift Africans to be an equal, and we are said equal with everybody else because nobody over, no one should be over another, are seen as better than another. You know what I mean? And that's my shot in Pan-Africanism. So this thing where people are look upon other people like they are Europeans, they are Chinese, they are African. I don't see that we are just all human beings living in different places on the earth. I love all every place in the earth. I want to go and visit Thailand. I want to go and visit Brazil. I want to go and I love the earth. I love the life. I love everywhere on earth. I don't love nowhere else more than the other. You know what I mean? I love everything. I love all the rivers of the earth, right? The matter is Africans are looked down upon, and that's why we are fight this war to uplift Africans. And anyone who would join that fight, we welcome them. And if Moroccans and Tunisians and Egyptians
Algeria.
and Libyans, they're living in Africa and say, hey, we are part of this struggle. Because when the Europeans were dividing up Africa, they didn't say, okay, they're going to they look at Moroccans different. They just divide up everything and they shape everything. Or they were all Africans. You know what I mean? We have great Pan-Africanists who came from North Africa. Gaddafi was one of them there who was himself as an African champion. And him fight champion Africa and African unity. You know what I mean? So once the item claim Africa, or anybody claim Africa and see themselves as Africa and see themselves as part of the struggle to uplift Africa, I also embrace them as Africans too, right? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, as I say, we are just human beings. Yeah, man, I know one human race, and there's a fight for equality. Yeah, man. So that's my closing argument.
Yeah, well, we do give thanks to the movement, do give thanks to the reasoning, the collective reasoning. We say it, we can see why this is a discussion, why this is a topic, because it has so many things that impact the reality of it. But as we are saying, that a person's identity is their identity. Whatever they claim, whatever they choose to identify as or choose to say, this is who I am, their identity is there. And our journey on this earth is to re-identify or re-establish our true identity. And that is where we are collectively as a group here. And that is our desire for everyone who is a part of our family to re-establish their identity, their true identity, and understand what they are and who they are, So we do give thanks to the movement, give thanks to everyone who was joining, who was on the live stream. One perfect love to everyone. Give thanks, Brother Dulani. Give thanks, Bingi. Give thanks,
Yes,
Jaga,
give
for the
thanks,
little bit of time that you was here. And give thanks, Okavango. I'm yours truly,
Yes,
Dada. And we are the Perfect Balance Church class. Give ISIS.
Give ISIS.
Like and share and subscribe.
Before Okavango and Brother Dulani start again, man.
Two more all you want.
Oh God.
I like it. I like it.